Good afternoon. As we embark into module 4, we discuss mass relocation and taking people out of their world and putting them in other places. This happened during the Irish potato famine, the Dust Bowl in the 30s, Katrina, Rita, the famous recent hurricanes, the tsunami in Japan, and it kind of sometimes it just looks easy on television, but I will tell you, this will be one of the most devastating decisions you're going to have to make as an emergency manager. I'm going to refer to some notes as I give you an introduction to Module 4. Um, but sometimes it's a rapid onset, and sometimes it's something slow. We call it a creeping catastrophe. Sea rise, it's going up a few inches a year. The polar ice caps are melting. We're going to talk a bit about, if we haven't already, climate change that's affecting emergency managers everywhere. Sometimes it's temperature increase or decrease. Uh, Loss of ecosystems, loss of access to necessary resources, socio-economical systems. Uh, when we relocate people in a mass relocation, it could be civil conflict. Look what's going on in other places of the world where there are thousands of people fleeing countries and going over borders. Civil unrest and things like that. Uh, when we look at mass relocation, we have to consider the human rights part, and more importantly, the human dignity. These folks, I talked about in my introduction to the course about uh, the people. The people are the most important thing during and after a disaster, and the recovery. This is part of the recovery portion, which is so important, and they're going to experience that loss of community. And loss of community is friends and family and church and stores and schools, all the things that we're so used to and so comfortable with. And you're uprooted and maybe you're sent 1,000 miles away. And I also refer to the folks from Louisiana that got on buses and ended up in Houston, Texas, where there was Louisiana was kind of a laid-back parish existence, and it's kind of the South, and everybody's kind of slow, and all of a sudden they're in a big city, they're in a metropolis. So those are hard things for people. Uh, don't forget there are going to be legal aspects and political aspects and economic aspects, and we're going to look at all of that during Module 4. The big one, I think, is that social vulnerability. People lose their comfort, and picture yourself in that spot of losing your everyday comforts and being a stranger in a strange land. It's like going to a foreign country, perhaps. There's of course there's temporary displacement, and then there's permanent mass relocation, and those are hard things for people to do. About 40 or 50% of the population of Louisiana returned. I had a family member who lived there and relocated to Colorado and stayed. So there's many things to talk about. There is, first of all, that there's also stress. Think about the stress that you might experience if you were relocated to a strange place. The psychological stress, social cultural change. Okay, the laid-back folks of Louisiana with their feet up on the porch on a warm afternoon, they're now in a city, and there's no porches. They're living in an apartment building, or they're living somewhere else. So the back porch is gone. And as silly as that might sound, that was real important to those folks. But there's some of the keys when we're looking at relocation: site selection, the design of this new settlement, if you will, housing and stores and church and religion and things like that. You need to have a plan. You need to have a plan. There was no plan. When you read about Hurricane Katrina, as we studied throughout the semester, they didn't have a real plan, and whatever they had didn't work. But you have to kind of plan for these things, and it's hard to do because some of the folks in government, they say, well, why are we planning for something? It'll never happen. Everybody has the "it can't happen here" attitude, but it does. With that, I just kind of going through some notes here. I come back to something called a Resettlement Action Plan, or a RAP. Okay, we're all going to get to RAP this semester, but your RAPs are part of your planning principles, and the RAP has been framed out by the federal government, and it's pretty good. Is it the total answer? No. Do I want you to challenge it? Absolutely, I want you to challenge it. Okay, but they talk about having a framework, income enhancement, entitlements, consultation, strength, strengthening of the institutional capacity, and a resettlement budget. And then there's a complete outline, and you're going to get to look at the outline, Rap. It's in your mass document that's posted online. It's your reference document for the course. And there's prep stages and what to do and chapters to outline, and you're going to get an opportunity to take a good look at this and delve in and take a good look and figure out who's in charge, who's not in charge, how much planning is actually involved, and who the players are, and the stakeholders. And remember, the people always first. So that's key. So welcome to Module 4. I think it'll be as interesting as everything we've done so far. And again, I'm accessible if you have questions. Better than that, if you have answers, let's share them, okay? And we'll talk to you soon.